Hey, welcome back to Shake Hands with Destiny, where our whole thing is what? I only shake hands with my destiny if you shake hands with yours. Okay, so we bring you another video on how to dispute charge-off. Because I did this video some time ago, and I noticed something that it was taking people sometimes 3, 4, and 5 different months, rounds of months to get charge-offs removed. And I said, oh wow, I left out a couple of key points that I want you to be more efficient. And I'm also going to bring you some powerful stuff on how to get these charge-offs removed a little bit faster. And I'm going to show you how to use AI to get the charge-offs removed a little bit faster and give you a little bit better understanding. Okay. So without further ado, I'm going to get right on into the video. Okay. Because I want you to only shake hands with my destiny and what? You shake hands with yours. But do me one little favor. Go ahead and like, comment, subscribe on this video. And if you really like this video, you can go ahead and jump into our community where we have tons of financial things, more or less personal credit, business credit, passive income strategies, all types of things in there. But if you like this particular video at the end, you can always get the guide as well that'll give you step by step with video as well, with all of the letters, with all of the templates that I'll be showing you here today, and all of the links as well. So let's get right on in, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and let's get started. All righty. Let's jump in. How to dispute charge-offs. All right, let's get it. So first of all, we got to understand something about charge-offs, something of what you call 1099-C. This particular way that I'm going to be showing you here today, this does not pertain to if you have what you call a 1099-C. What is a 1099-C? That's when a company or furnisher writes off or charges off a particular debt as a charge off, as we know on our credit. However, it's when they send you what you call a tax form of a 1099-C form, which ultimately says you then have to pay taxes on that particular money in that particular year on the charge off. Okay, so the way we're going to be disputing today, this is not in reference to if you have a 1099-C. This is if you do not have a 1099-C. I'll do a later video on that. I just wanted to reference that. So let's get in. Understanding charge-offs, okay? So let's understand what a charge-off is, okay? A charge-off is just an accounting term. That's basically what it is. I just pretty much said that. That's when a creditor deems a debt unlikely to collect on, and you're never going to pay on that debt. You stop paying on it for basically 180 days or 6 months, and you're not going to pay on it. And now they're going to put it on your credit. Also, a charge-off, it holds the most negative weight on your credit outside of what you call a public record, i.e. a bankruptcy. So a charge-off, unpaid charge-off is pretty much the worst that can be on your credit outside of a public record. And then, of course, the one step down from there is what you call a paid charge-off, which still is very impactful to your credit. But we're here today to tell you that, yes, charge-offs can be removed, okay? So let's keep going. Let's talk about some of the myths of a charge-off, okay? Yes, people always say, paying a charge-off, I paid my charge-off, it's going to be removed from my credit. The word to that is absolutely not. It's not going to be removed from your credit just because you pay off the charge-off, okay? It's going to show up on your credit as what? A paid charge-off. So it's going to go right up under unpaid charge-off here. You got paid charge-off here. It's just one step down, okay? Again, charge-offs can be number 3. Charge-off cannot be removed before 7 years. I wouldn't be doing this video if we couldn't remove a charge-off. Okay, so one of the 3 things though of how to remove a charge-off, it has to be inaccurate, unverifiable, or incomplete. And I'm going to show you the laws to that based on the Fair Credit Reporting Act here today. Okay, so those are the 3 things that we're going to be talking about. I'll probably say that multiple times: incomplete, unverifiable, and inaccurate. Okay. So removing a charge off will fix your credit overnight. Not just fixing a charge off, you do want to do other things to fix your credit as well, such as reducing your utilization, building credit. I talk about all of that within our community as well. But yes, removing a charge off can have a significant hike in your score. What types of charge offs are there? Let me talk about that. The types of charge offs, okay, you have what you call a high limit charge off, which is generally going to be anywhere from $1,500 and above. Low limit charge off are generally going to be $1,500 and below. And the reason I want to reference that, folks, is sometimes if you had a dormant charge off and that charge off has been dormant, excuse me, that charge off has been dormant for roughly, let's say, 5 years. All right, and 5.5 years it's been dormant, and it was $10,000 that was charged off, and they never sued you. Keep this in mind. Once you start to dispute, or once you start to investigate that particular charge off, what could happen, folks, is they could come back and try to sue you if it was a high limit charge off, most likely. And I'm not saying it has to be a high or low, but if it was a high limit charge off, keep that in the back of your head that you could be sued and have to go to court. Am I saying that you can't beat it in court? No, I'm not saying that you cannot. Am I saying that it can't be that they may not win? I'm not saying that either. I'm just simply saying those are just the facts. So just keep that in the back of your head as well. Am I saying that it still can't be removed? Yes. Just because something is removed from your particular credit, that does not necessarily mean that you don't owe it. Okay, I want to make that reference that as well. Okay. So let's understand something, because this is where one of the confusions lie. What is a charge off? What is a collection, right? Understand that a charge off is going to only come generally, well, I shouldn't say only, but a charge off is coming from the original creditor. Okay. That's who's charging off the debt, because who did you have the contract with? The original creditor. So for this example, I'll say, let's just say Verizon. Verizon is over here in this hand. They wrote off a particular debt. They were the original creditor when you went in to purchase a phone for $1,000 and you didn't pay for it. And all of a sudden now they're writing it off because they didn't pay for it. So what's going to happen is a lot of times they'll write it off and they'll either sell it or transfer it to a collection agency. And that collection agency is over here. So that collection agency may say that collection agency is Portfolio Recovery, which is a third party. That's now a collection. So if you notice something on your charge off, when you look at Verizon, if you look on your credit report, it may say collection, charge off / collection. And then it will say sometime comments. In the comments, it will say transferred or sold. So therefore, we'll talk about later on, the balance should be zero there. And then because the collection agency is not holding it. So that's one of the things for a charge off or a collection. Okay. Who owns the debt? I just talked about that. The impact on your credit, I talked about that as well. Can you settle? Many times for a charge off, just understand this. If it is a paid charge off a charge off with the original creditor, if you can settle that with the original creditor sometime for a lower amount, but it'll still, generally speaking, it'll still show up on your actual credit as a paid charge off, opposed to with the collection agencies. Many times you can do what you call a pay for delete with collection companies, where you can actually pay them or settle with them, and it can actually be removed from your credit. That's very rare though for original charge offs. Okay, can it? Yes, you can do it through disputes, debt validation, which we'll be talking about today. But it's rare. But yes, you can do pay for deletes for charge offs with the original creditor as well, but rare. All right, so let's talk about this. When we talk about how creditors report charge offs, they're going to do it in 30-day late, 60-day late, 90-day late, 120-day late, 150 days late. Okay, and I wanted to give you just some understanding and background of charge offs before we jump right into how to actually address these things. Okay, so generally you see 30, 60, 90, 120, 150, and then you see what? 180, or you see then collection. Okay, charge off. It generally is going to charge off after 180 days. And the correct thing after that, you shouldn't be seeing charge off after that time frame. You should be seeing at that time only no data. You can't have anything change after, once it's a charge off. Nothing should be changing, meaning you shouldn't have any late payments after charge off. You shouldn't have charge off again after that. So that's how it should be. And we'll talk about that here in just a little bit as well. And how it actually looks on your actual credit report versus how it really looks versus how it should look. Okay. All right. So we're going to talk about that. All right. So let's keep going. Let's talk about the legal work. Okay. And what laws are we going to be talking about? Basically, I'm going to show you something talking about inaccuracy, unverifiable, and incomplete in 15 USC 1681 I believe it is. I'm sorry, 15 USC 1681 AI, 15 USC 1681 IA5. Why don't I just go to it and we look at it? Let's go. All right, so this here is 15 USC 1681 IA5. This is in reference to court from Cornell Law. Look, let's read it. If after any reinvestigation, because we're going to talk about something today in the process with this, we're going to talk about is 4 processes and 4 steps to disputing a charge off. There's going to be what you call a procedural investigation, a reinvestigation, and then factual dispute. And then if you need to do it again, factual dispute again. Okay, so basically it's 3 steps to this. And then if you need a 4th step, you go on from there and on and on. So the first thing it says after any reinvestigation. So there first has to be a what? Investigation. Okay. So of any information disputed by a consumer, an item of information is found to be inaccurate, 1, incomplete, 2, or cannot be what? Verified, 3. I told you I'll say that several times. What shall happen? The consumer reporting agency, i.e. Experian, i.e. Equifax, i.e. TransUnion, promptly delete the item of information from the file of the consumer or modify that item of information as appropriate based on the results of the reinvestigation. Okay, so this is how we're gonna get this stuff removed. So let's jump right on in, y'all. Let me show you how you do this stuff. Okay, without further ado, I just went over a couple of these laws here, 15 USC, and these are 1681 law, and these are some of the other laws here, and where they can remove the information. But I want to be very strategic in what I want you to do to get these credit charge-offs removed within a timely manner. So listen closely here, okay? How to examine your credit report, okay? This is vital right here, okay? So what I want you to do first is I want you to press pause here. I want you to go grab your credit reports. You can get your credit reports from one of 4 things, your sure credit reports. You can go to you can go to annualcreditreport.com and you can get your free credit report once a year. And that is the reason I want you to go there is because if you go to annualcreditreport.com, it's going to have more data. Okay. And what I mean by that is the more errors you have on your credit report, the more ammunition you're going to have. Many times when we go to credit monitoring places, i.e., My Free Score, Identity IQ, Credit Karma, those are great for monitoring, and I want you to do that too. However, they only go back sometimes 2, possibly 3 years on what they're showing you on your credit report. What I want you to do is go back all the way 7 years so you can calculate more errors that's on your credit report. Okay, it's about being incomplete, inaccurate. Okay, and if we can prove that, is more ammunition to get it off of your credit report. So I want you to order your credit report at annualcreditreport.com, or you can go to any of the big 3 at Experian, Equifax, or TransUnion as well. And then what you can do next is I want you to go and sign up. I want you to make this, I want to go slow here. I want you to sign up for a free account at Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax. Okay, by signing up with them, what that's going to do down the line when I show you how to actually mail off your report, your letters, or file what you call a CFPB complaint, it's going to allow you to respond faster. What that simply means to you is ordinarily you've been waiting 30 days or sometimes more to send that 2nd round letter, 3rd round letter. So what this simply means is if you were sending off your first procedural investigation letter today via CFPB through electronic filing complaint, or if you were mailing it, you would mail it now. And let's just say ordinarily the credit bureaus may be responding within 10 days. But a lot of times you wouldn't know that because they respond on their website. Okay. And so the minute that they respond, you don't have to wait 30 and 45 days anymore to respond. The minute they respond, the 2nd time, you send the 2nd letter. So literally speaking, in day 10, you could be sending your 2nd letter. By day 20, you could be doing your 3rd factual dispute letter. By day 30, 40, you could be finished with this entire process and have done 3 or 4 rounds. But you're only going to do that if you get your notifications from the actual credit bureau, credit reporting agencies, i.e., TransUnion, Experian, Equifax. Okay, so I want to make sure you go do that now. Go sign up. Not the credit monitoring, but they're free. Now, also, what I want you to do is do credit monitoring as well. You can go to Equifax, My Free Score, Experian. You can go to any of these here, TransUnion, Identity IQ, any of these here. Because you're going to need some form of credit monitoring so you can monitor your process through this, okay? Because even though you have your annual creditreport.com, it's not going to give you a score. It's not going to tell you the updates every time something's being updated, okay? So you're going to need credit monitoring. Let's keep going. Identify the charge-offs on the account. What you want to do here is you want to look at your credit report, and you're going to look at this thing. You're going to open it up. You're pretty much going to see the ones that says charge-off / collections. What's negative on your account? Okay, so you want to find those on your account, and you want to start to look at this thing. You want to put that thing on the kitchen table, and you want to look at the status and look at which ones say charge-off, which ones say collections. What I'm showing you today is for charge-off only, and a charge-off is the easiest way to look at it is gonna come from the original furnisher, i.e. Verizon. If you see something from Portfolio Recovery where it says the original creditor, most likely that's going to be what you call a collection, and then, because it says original creditor, Verizon, but right up under it says Portfolio Recovery. That's a collection. We're not talking about that. We're talking about what today? We're going to be actually talking about charge-offs. So some of the things that you want to be doing here is one of the tips here is first the date you want to be looking for is date of first delinquency. It is very, 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 very important that we understand the first date of delinquency. What that is that's generally going to be, not generally, but that's the first time that you were actually late on this thing to make this thing go late. And a lot of times they've been re-aging your account and you didn't even realize it. So it's putting you further and further and further out. Okay, so we want to make sure we understand that. We want to look at what you call last date reported. This should not be unless you've made a payment. The original date of delinquency, which we just talked about. The status should say charge off or close. The current balance, if it hasn't been sold to collections, it may still have a balance. Keep that in mind. But it should say $0 if it's been sold or transferred on that balance. Keep in mind the account number, it is always partially visible as well. Okay, so let's keep going here. I'm going to get to some good stuff here in a minute, but this is just very pertinent information that you're just generally going to be needing. Okay, verify if the charge off was sold to the collection agency. Okay, so what I want you to do is I want you to look at your credit report, and if it's the original creditor, you should look down. If you see the balance is $0 on there, and then you look down into the comments. In your comments, it should say transferred or it should say sold. Okay. In the actual comments there. Now, here's the thing. Here's the tip. A lot of times it won't say sold. It won't say transferred in the actual comments, which is inaccurate if it's actually been sold or if it still has a balance. Let me explain what that means. If it has, and I'm going to go over I'm going to show you how to find your most common inaccuracies. So don't worry about that. But one of the inaccuracies that many people see is when you actually look at your actual credit report and you see that it's been sold or it's been transferred and they don't put it in the actual comments under, i.e. Verizon. And what happens is Verizon still has a balance on there that you owe $1,000 for Portfolio Recovery. The collection agency also has $100 on there, okay? But you can't have both, okay? All right, final thoughts on this thing before we jump into how to dispute, okay? All right, let's go to the final steps. Next steps after identifying the charge-off. If a charge-off contains the error disputed with the credit bureaus, which we're going to talk about here in just a second, we're going to be talking about validation. We're going to talk about inaccuracies. We're going to be talking about incompletes, okay? How to dispute this thing, okay? Let's talk about how to dispute the charge-off. Again, I talked about it before. The first thing is what you want to do is we're going to be doing what you call a procedural investigation. On your procedural investigation, what a procedural investigation is, this is basically saying, going back to 15 USC 1681 IA 5 that we read, hey, I want you to investigate this. I'm not going to tell you any problems that's on my credit report. Why? Because it's up to them. It's up to them to find the needle in the haystack, okay? Because the onus is on them to actually find the error. You've already looked at your credit report. You learn, I got them now, baby. I got them. But they have to actually find the inaccuracy. So what you're going to be doing in the very first letter is sending out a procedural investigation, very simple notation, very simple letter saying, hey, I want you to investigate the inaccuracies on my actual credit report, but you're not going to tell them what they're looking for. Okay, because they should have been doing an investigation the first time before they even put this on your actual credit report. But we know that they didn't do that. Why? Because they get paid to put this stuff on your actual credit report. Okay, so then the second time, what you're going to do is what you call a reinvestigation. Because remember what we read before, you must have a reinvestigation. So what comes before that is a procedural investigation. But a reinvestigation is saying, man, y'all still didn't get this stuff right, man. I'm looking at my credit report again, and it's not right. Let me tell you an easy way to know that they didn't reinvestigate. Date of last activity, when you look at your actual credit report, your date of last activity should be the last time that you paid on that account or you disputed that account. So let's say, for example, if you send in the procedural investigation, something should be changing on that very first letter, right? You disputed, you talked about something, you sent in something last month. Why in the world didn't the date change? The date still says 2 years ago. So right there, you got them. And a lot of times after you send that second letter saying, hey, go ahead, reinvestigate this thing. And when you reinvestigate, you're still not going to share with them any factual information whatsoever that's wrong with your actual account. Many times after your first and second rounds, and they say it's come back as verified, and you still have errors, a lot of people will go and sue after that second round. That's not what I teach, but that's not what I'm doing. But a lot of people will because they verified it now, not once, but twice, and you still have errors. The third thing is what you're going to do is you're going to send what you call a factual dispute. In that factual dispute, then you're going to say, okay, I found one error. Even though you may have 5 errors, 10 errors on that actual report, you're only going to give them one error on each letter, okay? Because you can only use one error one time. So let's say, for example, you use date of last activity on the third round, and it comes back as verified again. You're going to send your fourth letter, your factual dispute letter. You're not going to use date of last activity this the fourth time again because you've already used it. You may use date of last payment, payment history, or something of that nature. Okay, so this is the process that you're going to go through. So let's look here. First of all, let's go back here. You will always want to send everything certified mail as well, or through the CFPB when doing this, okay? I always recommend keeping a spreadsheet as well. But here's the, you want to take a screenshot here of all of the credit bureaus where to send it if you're sending it by mail. And again, you can send this via certified mail, or you can send this through the CFPB electronically. And I'll show you both. I'll show you how to do that. A procedural investigation I just explained to you there. So this is what the letter is going to look like for a procedural investigation, okay? Very simple. I'm writing to formally request, I'm writing to formally request a procedural investigation into several inaccuracies that I've identified on my report. These inaccuracies are affecting my ability to obtain credit, and I believe a detailed investigation into the methods used to verify these items is warranted by the Fair Credit Reporting Act. Very simple. You list the accounts right up under there. Again, are we going to tell them what's wrong with the accounts? Absolutely not. Okay. What are we going to send with that letter? We're going to send a copy of your driver's license. We're going to send proof of residence. You can also send your social security card if you like. But you want to definitely send your driver's license. You definitely want to send proof of residence as well, okay? Round 2, a reinvestigation letter. Many times on your first round procedural investigation, they're not going to get anything off the first time. So don't get upset. Don't get like, oh man, this is not working. A lot of times you have to send this second letter, and this is when you start seeing things come off in what you call the reinvestigation, which we talked about. Okay, letter. So let's look at the reinvestigation. Okay, let's take a peek here. I'm writing because I reviewed my credit report and found several inaccuracies on my report. These accounts are adversely affecting my credit. I request a reinvestigation of an inaccurate information reported on my credit report. Okay, based on um, on Section 611A, so forth, that particular law. I am revoking my right to detailed and meaningful reinvestigation of this item. And then right below there, you want to insert the creditor or or I shouldn't say collection. That's a misprint on my part. It's not the collection agency, but the creditor's information right there. And only thing you want to put there is the account name and the account number. Okay, you're not going to be putting any form of the factual dispute information here. You're still not going to let them know what's wrong with the credit report. Okay, so that's what you're going to be putting in that particular letter. Now, this is where it gets where we got to do a little legwork. The first two rounds are relatively easy for us because we're not finding any disputes, but this is where it gets a little bit rough. And I want to show you now, and I want to take up some time. I want to show you some tricks. Okay, so what we have here, factual disputing. Okay, again, we're talking about what? Inaccuracies. We're talking about incomplete. We're talking about not being verified. Okay, all right, these are frequent charge-offs reporting errors. Okay, repeating charge-offs. Let me just show you some things here. All right, repeating reporting charge-offs each month. That's a violation, folks. What that means is when you see charge-off, which I'm going to show you here in just a second, violation. Failure to indicate whether the account has been sold or transferred. If they don't tell you that this thing has been sold, it's been a violation. So what that simply means, if you got Verizon, all right, and then you get something in the mail and it's from Portfolio Recovery, and Verizon is the company that charged it off, but you get some in Portfolio Recovery in the mail and it says, hey, you want to settle this debt for $200, $300. I'm just using that as an example. You like, wait a minute, should I pay this $200 to Portfolio Recovery? I thought it was with Verizon. And you look at your credit report and it still says Verizon, it doesn't say sold. Guess what? They can't do that because that's an inaccuracy. Not updating a balance to zero after selling or transferring the debt, that's what you call double jeopardy. Okay. Inconsistent balance reporting across credit bureaus, that's also an error. Improper updates after the account has been charged off. You can't see any changes. Charge-off should not change after 180 days. Okay, and I'm going to show you a credit report here in just a second. But I want to show you the first trick before we actually look at a credit report. I want to show you how to actually use Chat GPT. So you want to go to Chat GPT and you want to go to your credit report. I'm going to stop sharing for just a second here. And I want to show you something. Give me just a second here. Give me a second, folks. This is what happens when you got too many screens. All righty. There we go. All right. So what you want to do is look at your actual credit report. Okay. And what we're going to do is we're going to take your full credit report. And what we're going to do is just take this here and we're going to copy your actual credit report. So what you want to do is this is a screen print. So you can take this screen here and you can upload it right into Chat GPT, or you can just take and scroll only on whatever the account is, not the entire thing. But this is under whatever account it is. You just want to take it and you want to highlight it or you want to copy it. Okay. And once you've copied it, we're going to then go over to Chat GPT. And guess what I'm going to do with Chat GPT? You see this little plus sign? If you took a picture of it, you can upload your credit report here. just where you just that particular section of that particular one account. Okay, we're not going to do the entire credit report here, but I guess you could do the entire credit report. But let's just say you just want to either upload it by picture. But what I did was I typed it here, and let me tell you the command that I used. What I did is I said in the command, please create a list of all inaccurate discrepancies reported on this account between TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian. And guess what, y'all? Because a lot of times what happens is you don't know necessarily what the discrepancies were. And what I did was I pasted right in the message, and it gave me all the discrepancies. Look here. It's giving me all the discrepancies. For example, it says number 14, TransUnion, charge off is bad debt. It's telling me what's wrong with each account. And then it gave me a summary. I'm just going to move down to the summary. This is what it told me, all of the different lines that it gave me, but it gave me a summary at the end. Look here. So we know exactly what the inaccuracies are. Look here, high balance, Experian, 0 instead of $5,466. Number 2, inaccuracy, date of last activity, inconsistent across all 3 bureaus. Number 3, Equifax shows 1/1/2025, while the other one shows 1/3/2025. What am I simply saying when I say this? And I'm going to stop sharing for just a second here. What am I saying when I say this? You can actually use ChatGPT to show you what the actual inaccuracies are. So what this means is you like, Corey, I don't know which inaccuracies they are. And I'm going to show you the most common ones here in just a second as well. But what this means is when you're looking at your actual credit report and you're looking at it and you're looking at, oh man, what's the most thing? What do I need to be looking for? I don't know. You can actually put it ChatGPT in, and it's going to give you some basics of what you actually need to look for. Okay, if you it gives you a good starting block. Okay, so let's continue on. Let's look at this credit report. Okay, for example, after now you found out what to look for, and you can say, oh, now this, I apologize, this doesn't have a full picture in here because I'm in my presentation here, but you see how these dates are inconsistent? 10/22/23, 12/1, 7/1, 1/3, 1/1. The balances here are correct, but look at the balances here, 54/66, 0. Again, the name of the question is what? Inconsistent, inaccurate. Inconsistent and inaccurate. Okay, incomplete, I'm sorry, and inaccurate. Okay, look at this here, 10/23 here, nothing here, nothing here. Okay, so I won't go all through that because I want to give you the most, I want to be able to give you the actual most common ones to look for, and it'll make your life a little bit easier as well. But I hope that makes sense as well. By you putting it in ChatGPT, ChatGPT gave us what? 9 discrepancies. Okay, so we only can put how many on one letter? How many on one letter? Only 1 on each letter. Okay, so just for example, here's another one. Look at this. You see where it says 30, 60, 90, 120, 150 collection. That would be correct. What is incorrect here, folks? Remember I said it cannot have repeated collections over and over again. You see where it says collection, 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 collection. It's re-aging every single month by doing that, because it should say collection here, then it should say no data here, no data here. Like it says no data here, that's correct. Okay. But so it says 30 here, 60 here, 90 here, 120. Normally it would have said 150 here, but what could have happened here is they made a payment, I guess, and so it could have, or it could be incorrect as well. But you see the little grays of no data, that would be correct. Okay. The collection CO, that's incorrect. That's inaccurate. So let's look at the most common inaccuracies. Okay. The most common inaccuracies are as follows. I just told you here, repeatedly reporting charge off every single month. Once an account is charged off, it should only be reported as such one time. Okay. Some creditors or credit bureaus continue to report this stuff month after month after month. That's why we all see it on our credit report. We see it so much we think it's right, okay? But this is actually inaccurate. This is something we can fight. So when you're building your number 3 letter, your factual dispute letter, this is one of the inaccuracies that you can utilize, okay? Another one here is not indicating when or if account has been sold. Excuse me. I told you about that. Not reflecting a zero balance after being transferred or sold. That's what we call double jeopardy when an account is sold to collection agencies. And I'll also pin another video here as well where I talk about all the factual disputes. I think I go through about 25 or 30. This is only a few that I'm giving you here. Reporting inconsistent balances across different bureaus. Your charge-off balance should be reported consistently through Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. It should all be the same. If one bureau shows one different balance, it may occur. It's going to then have errors in it. And so what happens is if you don't know which one is right, if all 3 of them showing something different, and the whole thing is it has to be consistent, okay? So that's another way to get this removed. Legally changing the date of first delinquency, which is re-aging. So if the first date so what is that? Is the first date of delinquency is the first date you missed a payment that led to the charge-off, okay? So the date determines when the charge-off will be removed. So what that simply means is ordinarily it will stay on your report, 7 years? So what that means is, let's just say it's 2020 when this thing started, okay? Because this thing went bad during COVID and so forth, but actually you should be using a different law, but that's for a different webinar there. But let's say it started in 2020, and that means it should have come off in 2027. But what happens is it's now 2025. But if they've been changing the date of first delinquency on there, this is why it's important to you get your annual credit report so you can look at that full picture of the report. And you look at that date and you say, wait a minute, they just changed that date to 2025. So that means it's 7 more years from 2025. Yep. They're illegally doing that. Why? Because the longer it stays on your credit report, guess what? They continue to get paid. Okay. This is one big legal scam going on, guys. Illegal scam. Making changes to the charge-off after 180 days. So what this simply means is if you see something on your actual credit report and you see that something has changed after that 180 days, such as the status, okay, that's an inaccuracy, okay? Once an account is charged off after 180 days of non-payment, it should not be updated except to show either one of 2 things: paid or settled status, okay? If you make a payment, okay? Some creditors improperly update it, okay? Update the charge-off date, make changes to the status to extend the impact. Like I just said, why are they trying to extend it? Because they're trying to keep it on there. What is the problem with that? Changing the charge-off date restarts your date, which is illegal, okay? And it's re-aging your debt, okay? So this is another inaccuracy. So we want to analyze your actual credit reports. It's important to analyze it. If you get in our community, I look at these things all day long. I'll even look at it. You can use ChatGPT to look at it, okay? All right, date of last activity. I love this one. I usually start with my date of last activity because date of last activity refers to the last consumer initiated action, such as a payment or a dispute. What does that mean, Corey? What does that mean? Remember what I said? Date of last activity. They change these dates and they're never right hardly on the actual credit reports, okay? When you look at a credit report and you look at that date of last activity, okay? When we looked at that credit report earlier that I looked at, and I won't go back, it said 10/22/23, 12/1/2023, 7/1/2023. Well, which one was it, okay? Which one did I make a payment on which date, okay? And on that particular one, this account that we were looking at, the date of last activity should have been a couple of months ago because that particular account was what? It was actually disputed. So what that means is they didn't do an investigation, because if they had done an investigation properly, it would have updated the date of last activity. I gotta show y'all this. I gotta show you this. I gotta show you this. I gotta show you this so you can have a full understanding. Let me explain what I mean. You see right here where it says date of last activity? And right there it says TransUnion 10/22/23, 12/1/2023, 7/1/2023. This particular client disputed this account, okay? It says account, and I just pulled this particular record. I just pulled it this month, okay? I just pulled this this month. But as you can see, it says account not in dispute, boom. That's another reason for it to be charged off, but it should say January or December or something like that as the last date of activity for 2024 or 2020, or it should say December 2024 or January 2025 as far as last activity. This is where most of the time you get them off the bat with date of last activity, because one, they didn't do an investigation in the first place, okay? So a lot of times I personally like to tell my clients and tell customers, and I like to start with date of last activity because they never get it right. They never get the stuff right, okay? Next, reporting late payments after the charge-off date. Come on, guys. How you going to charge me off and then you're going to say I'm 30 days late, 90 days late, or 120 days late? Once it's charged off, I can no longer have 120 days late, 90 days late. It's charge off. It should say charge off and then nothing after the charge off, okay? Charge off, nothing after. It should say no data after that, okay? So let's continue. Those are my top 8, okay? So let's go to factual dispute letter. So let's go to the last one. So this is just a template of what it looks like. You can always take any of my templates, throw them into ChatGPT, rewrite the letter, because I recommend not using the same template all the time, because what happens is when you throw this into the big format with all these people using my letters or a particular letter, what happens is they get redundant, okay, within the credit bureaus that's reading these things, and they're going to come back and say, you're just a credit agency. So I say, rewrite this. This is a template. This is just a guideline. So you can rewrite it, have ChatGPT rewrite it, and it gives you the basis. But the third letter should look something like this. Hey, I'm writing to demand the immediate deletion of inaccuracies listed on my credit report, as the data persistently fails to meet accuracy requirements set forth by the Fair Credit Reporting Act. I specifically, under these particular laws, I demand for a deletion stems from failure to accurately report my consumer credit information following a previous notice of these discrepancies, which I told y'all the first time. Investigate, please. I told you in a reinvestigation, investigate, please. And what you're going to start to put in these letters is you're going to put in now a demand for them to delete. 2, you're going to put in there what the actual, you know what, I put 2 reasons here, but I meant 1 or 2. But what you only want to do is give them 1 reason right here. Don't put 2 reasons here. Just put 1 reason. I apologize for the error there in the typo. Okay, you only want to do 1 reason right there. Just send them 1 factual dispute from based on what we just read. Okay, and if you want to get into this is now a violation, okay, you can get into now this is a violation for lawsuits and so forth, and you can really start to get them. Okay, but this is something what you want to do with that now letter. So let's move on. So again, I just want to end here before we do the CFPB complaint. So let's understand this. Procedural investigation. Are we going to let them know any factual disputes? Nope. Second letter, we're going to do what you call a reinvestigation. Third letter, we're going to do factual dispute. Fourth letter, what are we going to do? On that 4th letter, it could be another factual dispute. 5th letter, it could be another factual dispute. Are we waiting 30 days between letters? Absolutely not. Okay. So right here, we've already looked at a credit report, so I won't look at another credit report. Okay, but I do want to show how you file an actual complaint. I took screenshots here. So if you have never been to if you've never been to the CFPB, go to the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau.gov website. You want to create an account with them if you've never created an account. Once you create an account, you want to go there and you want to go submit a complaint or start a new complaint. And then if your first prompt is going to come up, this is after you've created an account and you've hit the button that says start a new complaint. The very first thing that's going to come up is, what is your complaint? So your complaint is going to be, we're going to select credit reporting. The next one is going to say, what type of credit reporting? What type of credit reporting product, I'm sorry, credit reporting. What type of problem are you having? We're going to go improper use of credit report. That's what some of these can be a little bit tricky on how to answer. That's why I want you to do screenshots. That's why I did a screenshot so you could take pictures. Improper use of credit report is what we're going to select here. Which best describes your problem? Reporting company used your credit report improperly, obtained or used purposes that aren't allowed by law. Okay. Have you already tried to fix this problem with the company? The answer to that is yes. And keep this in mind, guys. You can do this in round 1, 2, or 3. You can send all rounds through the CFPB. Did you request information from the company? Yes. Did the company provide this information? No. So what happened? This is where you're going to take the letter that you made for letter 1, 2, or 3, or 4. You want to input it here and you want to put it right into what happened. So you want to just take whatever you had in your letter, you want to input it here. Okay. You know, minus the who is to, minus your name, minus your address, minus who is to, because you're going to put that into. You want to put the body of that letter here. The next thing is you want to say, what would be a fair resolution? I am demanding a deletion of the following: name and the account number as it reads on your actual credit report. So what this simply means is, let's say this is going to Experian. So you want to list all of your charge-offs that you have for Experian in there. Now, this is not for Equifax or anything like that, but this is just for Experian. So I personally recommend you do a separate account for each one, meaning one for Experian, one for Equifax, one's for TransUnion. You can put them all here, but if you decide you want to put them all in one complaint, it's going to ask you at the end, would you like to file another complaint? The answer to that is yes, you can. However, you want to just make sure, for example, if it's TransUnion that you're making another complaint on, just make sure TransUnion and Experian both has the exact amount of the negative items were the same amount, okay? So I demand deleting. So you want to put your name and account there. So right here, you want to put all of your information. So you want to put your driver's license here. You want to put your residence here, current residence here, social security card if you want to here. You want to also put any pertinent information such as your credit report here where you found the errors if this is a factual dispute, third round. But if not, you want to, if this is your second round, you want to input your first letter that you sent, the previous letter here. So they'll know that you have now your previous letter that you sent here. But let's say this is your factual dispute. You want to input the credit report showing your inaccuracies here, along with that other information that I just stated. The next thing you want to do, you want to go and select a company. It may be TransUnion here, Experian here, or it could be Equifax. You want to put the four your social security number, date of birth, last 4 of your social. And then do you want to complain about another company? I personally like for you to do 3 separate ones, but you can put yes to this and it'll allow you to go to the next company, i.e. TransUnion, i.e. Equifax, okay? Then the next thing is going to go to Who are you submitting this complaint? So let me go back for a minute. If you do choose to do another complaint, you will just can finish this complaint and hit no, and then you do all of this process all over. It only takes about 5 minutes to do this, okay? So you just go and come out of it, and then you start a new complaint. Who are you submitting this complaint for? It's always going to be myself. Somehow, if you put someone else, the actual credit bureaus can actually deem your report as frivolous. So I recommend putting myself. And this here, after this next screen here, sorry. After you've put myself right here, the next screen is going to populate here. It's going to be asking you things about your ethnicity and things of that nature, your name, your phone number. I skipped that for personal information. Then this will be your last screen here. Yes, I authorize the CFPB, blah, blah, blah. Yes, this is true. And then you just want to submit that complaint, okay? And then last, you've gathered all your information. If for whatever reason you mailed this information, okay, just remember, if you've mailed it, let's see here. Let me stop sharing here. There we go. If you mailed that information, just remember to always do it by certified mail, okay? And if you're doing it by certified mail, always remember to keep your actual tracking numbers, okay? So that's that part there. And again, guys, if this video has been helpful for you, I hope it has been. I hope we expedited the process by doing a couple of things. Remember, what expedited our process was, one, we went ahead and signed up for Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian to get responses faster. So the minute we get a response, so we sent that CFPB complaint, what's going to happen is you're going to get a response sometime in 7 days, 10 days, 14 days. So immediately when you get that response, you need to be checking it every single day, and then you can send that next letter off immediately. So ultimately, for a charge off, you can send about 3 rounds within 30 to 40 days, okay? And you can have this done. So that's one way that you're able to expedite that process. Another process that I showed you today was utilizing ChatGPT to find your inaccuracies. And once you find those inaccuracies, because by the naked eye, you may not know what the inaccuracies were. As you know, we saw ChatGPT gave us 9 different inaccuracies. So that gives you a lot more ammunition. So that ultimately means you can send out, after you send out your procedural investigation and then you send out your reinvestigation, you now have 9 different letters that you can send that have separate inaccuracies, okay? 9 different letters, okay? I can tell you right now, I have not seen a charge off not removed after sending off 9 inaccuracies plus the first 2 procedural and the procedural investigation and the investigation, okay? Reinvestigation. So, hey, y'all, like this video, subscribe this video, share to this video, join the community in the description. And hey, if you want to get the guide to go step by step, I'll pin it here as well. But again, y'all, hey, I only shake hands with my destiny if you shake hands with your destiny. Let's get it. Let's go.